On a beautiful spring day, there is nothing more relaxing than fishing with your best friend and your dog. Right, Tabitha? This is fun out here, isn't it? Oh my gosh, the clouds are overhead. Those wildflowers are popping their heads. The birds are building nests and the fish are jumping. Did you know that in this country there are more fishermen than tennis players, golfers, and quilters all put together? Well, surely there's somebody in your family, a fisherman, that would love to have a beautiful fish quilt. Well, this fish quilt actually looks like the fish swim in tropical waters. It's just so bright and colorful, but you can change the colors and the fabrics. It doesn't matter. There are two different patches in the fish. First of all, the fins are made with triangle and a square patches. And then the face and body are made with half square triangles. They're just so much fun to do. Well, it doesn't matter what your angle is. These fish are keepers. Join me. This colorful fish wall hanging is sure to delight children of any age as the fish swim by on a blue background that creates the perfect, cool, clear water. Well, one block is 17 inches by 22 inches. It is a big block with 3 fish in the block. There are only 2 blocks in this quilt. Not bad. Well, there's 3 fish in different colors, and I want you to take a look at the cute button eyes. Oh, it's so cute. And then little beads for bubbles coming right out of the fish's mouth. Now, I have to tell you, those bubbles are technically incorrect. A little 6-year-old boy said, "Mrs. Burns, don't you know that when a bubble comes out of a fish's mouth, it's little, and then it gets bigger as it goes?" Whoops, I didn't know, and I didn't want to change all of those pearls, but they're cute. And then there's some seaweed across the bottom. We've got 2 seaweed growing right out of that folded border, and 3 more growing right out of that checked binding. So cute. And then Amy did wonderful water quilting throughout the wall hanging. Just adorable. Well, I have my 3 sizes, my 3 fish ready. This is the largest fish right here. 3 different values of green. And then this is one of the smaller fish, 3 different values of yellow. And then this one, the smaller fish, and 3 values of orange. Usually the darkest value is the face, and then this part, the lighter fabric, is the body, and then those sharp fins. Well, we're going to start on the fins first. They come from rectangles. The rectangles for the small fish are 2.5 inch by 5 inch. Now you need to put pairs of rectangles together because it's that mirror image thing. It's that tricky thing. So just take a ruler and line it up corner to corner, cut it on one diagonal. That's all you need to do with the rectangles. Well, I have the orange ones already cut. Now this is for the large fish. These rectangles are 3 inches by 6 inches. Same thing, cut it on the diagonal. Now let's go on to the water. The strips for the small fish are 4 inches wide. Now just cut a whole long strip. I have a ruler for cutting the triangles. This ruler has a blunt top on it, and then you see a red line right here, and then the bottom of the ruler. We'll take the blunt top and place it right at the very top of the strip. And that red line goes right along the bottom of the strip. And then just cut your triangles. You can go ahead and layer cut. Just pick up that ruler, turn it around. The important thing is that you get that blunt top right on the edge of the strip. And just keep on cutting across. Now, the large fish have larger strips. Makes sense. These strips are 5 inches wide for the water. This time place the blunt top right at the top of the strip, and then just line up the bottom of the ruler with the bottom of the strip and cut. Just keep on cutting right across there. I'm just going to move these aside and lay out a little fin for you. Let's just take one water, place it right side up. You take half of the pair of fins and you just open those up like this and place them on either side. And that's how it looks like. They kind of line up across the top, big triangles at the bottom. Take the right stack, set it aside. Oh, you don't even want it in your way right now. And then take the water and flip it over to the left fin. And I want to carefully line this up for you because this is the most important part. Ah, perfect. Okay, when you flip that water, you want to place it so that you have this triangle right at the top in the fin color. You can see it sticking out straight across here. It goes edge to edge. And when you stitch your 1/4 inch seam, you want to hit that right there like that. You've also got a longer triangle sticking out at the bottom, and I think we're ready. So make sure you have that 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just carefully going to line that up there. Hold on to that. Now, because these pieces are odd shapes to start out with, it's good if you just hold on to your threads so you can make sure your machine doesn't make a meal out of those fin pieces. Okay, just sew right along there. Just go ahead and cut your threads, and this is exactly what it looks like. See right along at the top, got that triangle. Looking good. Okay, now place it with the fin on top, open and press towards the fin. Just do a really good one. You can do it with your wooden iron, or you can just do it with your regular iron. And that's what it looks like right up at the top. Might just clip those threads so you can get a good view. Okay, the second fin goes over on the right side. Now you can have your right fin. When you place that and line that up, you line up the top fin with that fin that's underneath. Just match up those triangles, and it's exactly the same thing. You've got that 1/4 inch seam along there. So grab hold of those threads. There'll be no eating tops of fins on my sewing machine. Okay, zip it right along. Keep your edges lined up. Now you need to have 2 of these fins per fish. That sounds pretty easy to do. This is the last step on it. So all we're going to do is just open, press towards the fin. And just take a good look at it because this is perfect. You've got at least 1/4 inch up here at the top. You've got 1/8 inch right down here at the bottom, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be. Okay, next ruler is a squaring up ruler. There are the 2 sizes on one ruler. So for the small fish, we're just going to follow the red lines and the red triangle. Just take that red triangle and slide it right in. Ooh, get it perfect. All right, it's got that 1/4 inch seam all built in. Just hold your ruler down tight. Now, you can only trim 2 sides with the smaller one. So I'm just going to go across the top and up the side and trim those 2 sides away. Well, Elle, it'd be really cool if you got that all trimmed away. Just get rid of those pieces. Now, I still have the left and the bottom, so I'm just going to take and turn them wrong side up. This time you line up the outside edge of the red line with the outside edge, the left and the bottom of the strip. Hold that ruler tight. Got the top to trim, cross here, and then the side. And that should be a perfect 3.5 inches. Got your 1/4 inch there, your 1/8 inch there. Well, this is 3.5 inches. The ruler is actually 4.5 inches, and that is the size for the larger fin. So it's easier to do this time. We just have to cut it on all 4 sides. So I put it on a rotating mat. I've lined up green lines on the ruler with the seams. Let me just get that perfect. Ooh, hold it down tight. Now, because it's on the rotating mat, you don't even need to move it. You can do across the top and the side, and then just very carefully turn that mat around. You've got the last 2 sides to do, and you've got perfect 4.5 inch fins. Well, let me finish my fins, and I'll show you how to do the face and the body. My favorite time hanging out with fish was in Kauai a couple of years ago. Well, this is Orion and I. That is actually me in that mask with the snorkel. Oh, and Orion just held out his camera and took a picture of us. Well, underwater, The fish were as colorful as the fish that I am making today. Well, my favorite time was whenever we were feeding the fish frozen peas. Oh, they just come right up to you. I loved it. And you will love the technique for the face and the body. It's so simple. Start out with pears again. This time I have the dark face on top, right sides together to the light body. This is a 4-inch square for the small fish, and then the large fish are 5-inch squares. So just place a ruler on the diagonal, corner to corner, draw one diagonal line, and then it's that 1/4-inch seam allowance. Just drop the needle so that it's actually on the left side of the line. 1/4-inch away, zip right down one side of it, and then just assembly line sew, or just pick up one, zip it around and down the other side. So the distance between your two stitching should be that 1/2 inch. Okay, now once you have them done, have your stitching all done, just take your ruler and cut on the diagonal line. Zip. And how about let's do a little bit larger ruler for the 5-inch square. Now, just like the fins, the small ones are squared up to 3.5 inches. So I have a really cool trick to show you. Neat ruler. Okay, this is called a triangle square up ruler because it's got triangle lines on it, different than squares. Take the 3.5-inch line and place it right on the stitching line. On the stitching line. Doesn't matter, you can be oversized. And then you just trim away anything extra on the two sides. Okay, that's the 3.5-inch. Let's take the 4.5-inch. This is to be squared to 4.5-inch, just like the fins. Find the 4.5-inch line, place it right on the stitching. Ooh, there is just such a little bit to do, but we are going to make these pieces perfect. And just take the extra, get rid of it. Now, the seam is pressed towards the dark side. So I always just drop the dark right on the pressing mat, set the seam with the dark on top, and then open the dark top and lift right into it. Ooh, I love that seam. Same thing with this one, dark on the top, open, and press into it. Now, just got some little tips hanging out on the ends of those two sides. So all you need to do is just grab your scissors or your rotary cutter and just cut those tips off so that they line up exactly with the patch. And that is it. Just make a whole little stack of these, turn it into confetti, take it, get rid of it. Well, I actually have all of the units done for the block now. I am excited. The two fins here, and here is the face. We're going to point it out that way, and then a 3.5-inch water piece. So lay out your patches. You can stack them up if you want, and just take the vertical row on the right and flip it to the left like this. And what's really good now is that you can see how you're going to stitch right across that seam. Perfect. Got that V in there, and we'll just make it crisp from the right side. So bring it over and just line up those two outside edges on the block, and just, grab those threads. Get that sewn across. Right here, I'm just going to hold that flat as I stitch over it, and then we'll take a look at the other side. Now, you need to take your stiletto. I still have that little curl I pressed right into my patch. Just stretch it out with your stiletto so that they meet, or else use your stiletto to line them up. Push them right through like this. That's very good. And just take a check on it. Let's see. Ooh, look at that. That's perfect. It's got that nice crisp point right there. You've also had that 1/4-inch seam right up there. Looking good. So once they're chained together, then all you need to do is just flip them the other way. Don't clip those threads. Push the seam up on the top, underneath, press it down so that they lock together right here, up and down. Okay, and line it up and just stitch it right across there. Well, let me tell you, I am quite a fisherwoman. When I was growing up, my dad would take me to the Jersey Shore every year, And his big deal was to pull his boat. We called it the Brucey K after my brother. We would pull a boat to the Jersey Shore loaded up with all of our bikes. Such an event, 2 weeks long. And he would take me out fishing for flounder. And let me tell you, I was the star fisherwoman in our family. We had flounder every night for dinner. And it looks pretty good, but it doesn't look like it's on point. So to put it on point, we need to have two 5.5-inch squares that are cut on one diagonal. You're going to sew triangles on both sides. Opposite sides, sew them with the triangle on the bottom so you don't stretch the bias. And then trim off those tips before you put on the last two sides. Well, it looks like a block. This one gets squared to 9 inches. Now the large fish needs to have some triangles as well. They are 7-inch squares cut on one diagonal. Sew them on all 4 sides and square that one up to 11 3/4. And we're on with the next step. I am hooked on this quilt, and you will be too. It is so much fun to make. Well, so that I can turn this into one large block of 17 inches by 22 inches, I have spacers among the fish, just so we can separate them out. Well, we squared up the large fish to 11 3/4 inches. So the spacer is also that size along one side plus 6.5 inches the opposite way. In the small spacer, we squared the block to 9 inches, so it's 9 inches this way, 3.5 inches that way. Well, the fun part is that you can mix these all up. I mean, these fish can just swim wherever they want. For instance, now we have the spacer at the bottom of the large fish. How about just move it around, create a new block? Let's take this spacer here, put it on the back of the fish, and we'll just put the fish like this the opposite way. They can swim all the same direction, or how about this guy? Just swing him around and he can just head in towards the other fish. Easy. So just sew these blocks all together. You got one big block. Well, I have my wall hanging already sewn together. It's 2 blocks ready to go. The next thing I did was add a 2-inch framing border on all 4 sides. It's in the water, framing border all around. And then I took my folded border and I added the folded border just on 3 sides. Now the reason is because I've got to get some seaweed right at the bottom of this wall hanging. So let me just move some of these things out of the way and I'll show you the seaweed. Oh, it's just fun. All you're going to do is just take 2 different values of green. You could do like a medium and a dark, and make a template of your seaweed. On this one, I'm using mine 2 different ways. Nice tall seaweed, or I'm just going to end up and cut one a little bit shorter. Just trace your lines of your seaweed on there. Sew on that line. Looks pretty easy. And then trim 1/8 inch away. Well, I have this mammoth straw. All I'm going to do is just open the end of that seaweed, insert that straw in there. Boy, that straw even looks seaweed color. Got our magic bodkin, so we're just going to put it right on the tip of that seaweed. Just shove that all into the straw, work at it, and turn it right side out. And then just run around the outside edge. Push out all of those points. Take your wooden iron and just press it down, or just use your regular iron. And so now we can just go ahead and put seaweed. How about that one right there? And we could put on the opposite side a different color right there. Looks good. Well, now the 4th folded border comes. It is a piece that is 1 1/4 inches wide. All you do is just fold it, wrong sides together, press it down, and then when you take this, the one side just goes down. You stitch along here with a seam less than 1/4 inch. But now the next one is just going to go right to that corner. No folding out on the folded border. And just lay this right across there and stitch that down. less than a 1/4 inch seam will be great. Once those 2 seaweed are in place, then all you need to do is go to the last outside border. It is 4.5 inches wide. You're just going to sew this on all 4 sides. Oh, I love this fast sewing here, the way I can get that done. And then once you have your bottom done, then you're going to just go ahead and drop some more seaweed along the outside edges. Well, all you have to do then is add some little button eyes on the fish. That'd be cute. And some beads. Now, they're actually pearls. They're 5mm, 6mm, and 8mm pearls. You're just going to stack up along there. Get that water quilting on your quilt, and you are done. And it's time for fishing. If you're lucky enough to have grandchildren, these fish quilts are great gifts to give. Well, the toddlers will just love all of the bright, beautiful colors in this little crib quilt. But remember, just leave off those pearls. Now, if you have an elementary school child, how about a twin-size quilt? There are 8 fish blocks in this. It's 2 across and 4 down. Oh, we've got those big green fish. And then the 2 small fish, the orange and the pink, swimming in that water. And the water actually looks like it has bubbles in it. Well, Amy quilted water going all through and around the fish. You can actually see the quilting on the back better than from on the front side. It's wonderful. Well, as an added bonus, there is a pillowcase. It's just great for those sleepovers. It's just made from 1 block, so it's easy to do. Make your block and then add a 2 1/4 inch border on 3 sides, across the top and the bottom, and then along the front side. Once you get the whole block front made, then cut 2 backing pieces exactly the same size, and then I'll show you what you're going to do. Just layer the 3 pieces up, put the 2 backing pieces right side up and the patchwork right sides together to it. Pin around the outside edges and then just sew on 3 sides. It's just a pillowcase. Well, the reason that I put that second backing piece in there is so that whenever you turn it right side out, then that backing actually covers up all the raw edges, because you know how many times this pillowcase is going to get laundered. So turn it right side out and then you just split it right here in between the backings. Measure this opening right here, because this is what you want to make for a cuff. Once you know the measurement, cut a 12-inch strip. I've got it going already. 12 inches wide. And for a little extra color, just take a 2 1/4 inch strip, fold it in half wrong sides together, and just sew it right along the outside edge. Oh, the next is easy. We are nearly done with this. You're going to take it and just fold it so that it's wrong sides together. And let's just keep that folded border in the inside. Just line up your seams, slip this right over the top. All you're going to do is just create a tube so that you can sew right around that circle. Well, this one is already finished. You just zigzag off all of those raw edges and it's gonna be beautiful. Well, I am never gonna catch a fish sitting here in this chair. I hear those fishes calling my name. So whether you're a fisherwoman or a quilter, enjoy your day.